and Daniel, Henry, yeah, and then Josh is outside. Sometimes Chris is here. It's a good crew at Open Window.
Yeah, I like it here. It's a very professional setup. It's clean. Everyone's very nice. The hospitality is fantastic. Like
Good.
5 stars.
And not too far from where you came from.
Very convenient. Yes, we love that.
Not too far from where you were married.
Right, actually, probably less than 10 minutes from where I was married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a friend. I actually knew it was going to come up today on the show. I have a friend who hails from Oakdale, and his dad still lives in Oakdale, and he travels the world. He's a YouTuber, and he's grinded to get to where he is. He's got like 500,000 followers on TikTok. He's finally like getting paid to do what he does, but like lives within the, like, his dog walking route is like Molly's neighborhood, and he, as many would probably not know, had no idea that MJ Haberdashery is existing within within the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like an oasis, a hemp weed oasis.
It's truly. It's
awesome.
Shout out to everything that we've done and I've been able to be a part of with you and vice versa. I mean, your wedding was truly a one-of-a-kind experience, and I know you put a lot of time and effort into that. So kudos to you and Kurt for pulling off such a great party.
Thank you, and thanks for being there. And I do have to give a shout out to Christina Morrison, who was our wedding coordinator and really helped make it happen. And she actually won a national and a regional event planning award for the cannabis wedding. And we were featured in Minnesota Bride.
Yes.
So shout out to Christina. If you want an amazing event planner and coordinator, she's the one.
Wow.
Yeah.
So not only did you get recognized locally, you got she received a national award as well.
Yeah, in their industry, like the event planning industry. I think it's the ILEA. And their award show looked sick.
Yes.
I mean,
was it in Minneapolis?
So they had something, I think, regionally, but then their national one, it was like futuristic space theme. I mean, you can imagine like the event people putting on
the event. Yeah.
It's like, whoa, I can't even dream that big.
The Four Seasons. This is such a Canna Connect story. The Four Seasons bar manager was a roommate or like a neighbor roommate kind of mine a decade plus ago. Saw what I was doing with Canna Connect, connected me with the person who was procuring vendors for that space themed party. I put them in touch with Lauren Bertrand from Wink. Wink was the THC bev vendor at this space themed party at the Four Seasons, and so that was super cool to see hemp beverage cross over into an acclaimed brand like the Four Seasons, but also like good on them for just realizing people need options, and alcohol is not the only beverage of choice these days.
No, totally. And when I first went to Castina with the concept for our wedding, she said there was a lot of interest in the event industry. Like, how can we integrate this trend? And so she's really set the bar and set a model for how to do it compliantly and tastefully. So good on her and good on their industry for wanting to welcome us in with open arms.
Yeah. One more thing on that, like for folks that weren't at your wedding, like, what were some of the cannabis accoutrements as well as like the available products that like we all could utilize? Like I remember the Canna bar.
Yes. So, I mean, we had it at MJ Haberdashery, which is a local hemp farm. There was hemp everywhere in the decor. We had it in the ground floral. We had it in the bouquets. We had a massive thing hanging from the ceiling over the dance floor, this floral installation. We had it on an arch going into the tent. It was literally everywhere. My husband grew a bunch of hemp for the event. He was harvesting 2 days before the wedding. So that was a lot. And then we had a cannabis bar. We had 4 different cultivars, some high CBD strains provided by MJ Haberdashery, by Molly, as well as some higher THC strains that my husband grew. And then we also had THC drinks available at the bar. We did not have liquor on purpose. We specifically had beer, wine, seltzers, and then THC drinks. And we worked a lot with both the gentleman who was running the cannabis rolling bar and then the people who were running the drinks to make sure that the guests were educated. There were a lot of folks at our wedding who came from the industry or had experience consuming, and a lot of people who didn't. And so we wanted to make sure that they were asking our guests the right questions, understanding the dosage, understanding how this could make you feel versus alcohol or in combination with alcohol if
Sure.
you're imbibing with both.
Right.
The last thing that we wanted to have happen was for someone to have a bad time. And I think the worst thing that happened was someone told me afterwards that they got really stoned during the cocktail hour and were really quiet during dinner. And he thought that everyone knew he was too high. He was like paranoid, but I mean, he was just in his head and he was fine. The only other thing too was Christina told us that when they started putting out the desserts, we had a dessert bar. They had a really hard time keeping people away from it because they wanted to take a picture of it before, and then people just swarmed the desserts like immediately. But no, it worked out really, really well, and everyone had a really nice time. We had people from all over the country, lots of different political affiliations, like different backgrounds, and everyone got along swimmingly. The conversations were all great, and it was really, really nice to see.
Amazing. Yeah. And the espresso bar was also a really great touch.
If you are getting married and you are thinking about having an espresso bar, pull the trigger. It is totally worth it. We actually were so obsessed with the coffee that they served. We reached out to them to find out what beans they were, and we've been buying them, and they're delicious. And yeah, that was, I think, a nice touch, and it was not super expensive either, and definitely worth it.
Amazing. Yeah, nice job.
Thank you.
So that was 24.
Yeah, October 24.
We're now you guys have been married for over a year now.
That's right.
Let's go a lot further back. We're here today with Rachelle Gordon. Keeping the name Gordon, is that right? Professionally?
In the eyes of God, I am a Kinnaman, but yes, legally and in my professional life, I'm still Gordon.
The Rachelle Gordon, formerly Stay Gold 612. But take us back. I had the pleasure of running into you, meeting you about 6-7 years ago. 6-7. But how about let's go back to Wisconsin? Let's go back to your origins a little bit, and for folks that are new to you or have not had the chance to really get to know you, let's share a little more about who you are and where you came from.
Sure. So I grew up in West Central Wisconsin, in Glenwood City, Menominee area, and, had a very regular life, I guess, like small town speaking. I guess it wasn't regular when you think about my actual childhood, but we won't get into that. And discovered cannabis when I was in high school, instantly fell in love with it, grew up in a very heavy drinking culture, never really thought that alcohol was for me. Cannabis resonated much more so in a lot of different ways. Got into education. I studied education. I was an au pair right outside of Amsterdam when I was 20.
Really?
So spent 8 months living in the Netherlands and soaking up the cannabis culture there and hanging out in coffee shops on the weekends. And that was really interesting. Learned a lot about hash, Moroccan hash and Turkish hash. That was great. Came back, finished my education, and
went to Hamlin, right?
Went to Hamlin, right? I went to a tech school to begin with, Chippewa Valley Technical College in Eau Claire, and then transferred to Hamlin in St. Paul. I studied social justice and education. Was heading up the Students for Sensible Drug Policy chapter there at Hamlin, so really proud of that.
Yeah.
Got busted smoking weed on campus. Got a ticket for that. What can you do?
Check.
And then was working in education after that, after graduation, but ended up outside of school, getting arrested for felony cannabis possession actually in 2011. So had to quit teaching while I was working through my court case. And
how scary was that?
Oh, it was pretty terrifying, but I'll be totally honest with you. When it happened, I didn't freak out until the cops left.
Yep.
And it was kind of all over, and I was looking around my house because they raided my apartment and seeing the mess and everything. But they were actually very nice to me, and I know that is very much speaking to my privilege because they wanted me to talk. and that was really clear, like from the jump.
Mhm.
I mean, one of the first things the officer said to me, I was walking my dog when it happened, actually. I was walking my dog
Mm.
and they pulled up next to me and they got out and they said my name. And I was like, oh no, what does that mean? And he was like, don't worry, we're going to work with you. And so I immediately recognized the fact that they were probably wanting to use me to get to a bigger fish,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so I feigned like I was going to be compliant, and I was polite to them. I was, trying to be compliant. Um, but I didn't end up talking, and I lawyered up. And then about maybe 8 months later, I was charged by summons in the mail.
Okay.
So it was really scary, but I didn't actually go to jail that day under the guise that like maybe I could, help them.
They
But
wanted to partner.
yeah, exactly. They wanted to collab. But no, so I didn't end up doing that. And then they eventually charged me with 2 felonies, third-degree felony possession.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was really scary. But I ended up getting into a diversion program, a drug court,
Okay.
and was about 16 months of random UAs and going to court and treatment and all that.
Okay.
And but I really became a big advocate for these problem-solving courts because the vast majority of people who were there for methamphetamine, like fentanyl, things like that. I was maybe one of 2 people there for cannabis.
Sure.
And I was an anomaly, right? Like I had a job, I had a car, I had a place, like my life was pretty good. I was able to continue on my journey. But these were folks who were, trying to get their kids back and, get out of, halfway houses and stuff like that. And seeing them be able to break free from addiction, because my mom struggled heavily with hard drug addiction in my adolescence. My mom had a bad problem with crack cocaine.
Okay.
And they didn't have anything like that. My mom got arrested when I was 17 and went to jail for some time for crack cocaine. And I was like, man, if they would have had a problem-solving court where we lived in this rural community, like, could she have gotten her life on track, So
Right.
I'm a big proponent for diversion courts, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing more than just the Rachelle got in trouble for selling weed prior to getting into the cannabis industry, because I'm already connecting deeper in my family and the people in my life as far as how it relates to drug addiction and struggles. And if it's happening for me, I know it can be happening for others on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Make sure to follow the Canna Connect show. But jokes aside, that critical, transformative, unfortunate event created the pivot for you to lean more into the cannabis industry and not just talk about what you just mentioned, but also write about it.
Yeah, exactly. I do believe that I would not be where I am today if I hadn't have been busted. That's for sure. And at the time, I was really mad, right? Because we're pretty sure that someone flipped on me, so I felt betrayed.
Okay.
It was very expensive. It took a lot of time. I lost my job, right? And it was a lot to deal with. But I also recognize that it could have been so much worse. And I'm so fortunate that I was able to get the deal that I did, right?
Mhm.
Because not everyone is that lucky. I
Mhm.
don't have a felony on my record, right? The arrest still comes up. The charges do still come up from time to time, but I can manage it. It's manageable. It didn't totally ruin my life because look where I am now. And I started writing more so as a side hustle at the time because writing always came naturally to me. I always enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I was just kind of Googling like side hustles and like, what can I do to make money?
This is the early teens.
Yeah, exactly. So I did some random jobs. I worked for a print company for a while. I worked as a personal assistant. I worked as a nanny.
Mhm.
But then I started finding writing as a side hustle. I was writing more about sustainability, education, crafting, all this kind of stuff, couponing. I was really into couponing at the time. But then as I started getting out of drug court, the legal cannabis industry started happening, right?
Yeah.
We started seeing adult use legalization happening.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, I started finding gigs writing about cannabis.
Wow.
And then fast forward a little bit, about 2016, 2017, a lot of right place, right time sort of stuff. And all of a sudden, I was like writing for High Times and Cannabis Now magazine, these big heavyweights, and starting to travel around the country going to events. And this was really in the heyday of like the cannabis boom,
Yep.
so to speak. So there was a lot going on.
Wow.
And
What were some of those? Where did some of those events take place? What states early on were you getting the opportunity to go to? Like Colorado, Washington?
yep, exactly. So my first press passes were for an NCIA event in Denver, and then a Women Grow event also in Denver. They were the same week.
Okay.
Then I went to a CannaCon in Seattle, and that was where things really took off for me. That's where I met Drew from Bovida. I met David Tran, now a Fairchild. At that time, he was with Dope Magazine.
Okay.
A
Yep.
lot of influential people in Seattle, and that really set me on this course to where I am today, for sure.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you met Drew at CannaCon?
Yeah, actually.
Bovid has always been rocking with CannaCon.
Yeah, for a long time. I met the crew. I met Kate. At the time, I think Lance was still there. Now he's with Grove Bags. But yeah, those folks
That's
were
right.
really influential. And I've talked about Drew. We've talked about Drew a lot.
Yeah.
Drew was one of the first people to really put his hand out to me and help me when I needed it and gave me a platform. And he's been a cheerleader for me and in my corner ever since then. And I really credit Drew. And my boyfriend at the time, too. I was actually thinking about it this morning before we came in here. My boyfriend at the time was really, really supportive of
Good.
this journey, even though it wasn't a journey for him. Right? He saw something in me. He supported me. We broke up, and it was very, very amicable. It was a conscious uncoupling.
Yeah.
We were sharing custody of our dogs afterwards. I still send him dog memes from time to time.
Yeah.
But he was also really instrumental in helping me to get where I am today. So
Right.
shout out Tony.
Tony. Yeah, and you and I met probably just after that breakup, and Putty and what was the
Fonzie.
Putty and Fonzie,
Yes.
and I remember coming over and like understanding that you shared custody with those two pups and
Yeah.
doggies. Yeah. The other thing to kind of bring back to your wedding, like the number of Bovida folks that were at your wedding speaks to the community and the relationship that you had, and that was so pivotal for you because you've worked with Bovida in different capacities. Pandemic era, I would say, around that time. But like Allison, Emily, the other person who was there more behind the scenes, who I got to meet at your wedding, and then of course Drew is somebody who's a big supporter, and you actually introduced me to Bovida. I'd probably still be calling it Boveda if I hadn't met you. So
You and so many others, right? It's Bovida, but now they're doing a rebrand to Vivi.
but it's Vivi.
Oh, it's Vivi. See,
And they're making that, and I was like, "Are you guys kidding? Like, you guys are setting yourself up for that same interpretation, tomato." But
Vivi.
6'7".
Yeah. Okay, got it.
But yeah, actually, and then as Drew explained it on the Canna Connect show, like Bovida Fresh Packs will eventually become Vivi Packs.
Yes.
So they're just starting to transform their brand, and as Drew said so eloquently, like giving her the light that she needs, because it should be separate from Bovida. It shouldn't be Bovida Fresh. It's the plant should have its own brand and its own product line. So it's cool. He shared a lot on the show. If you didn't catch the Drew Emmer episode, make sure to go back and watch it. It's also available in podcast form, Spotify, Apple Music, and Buzzsprout. Shout out to Buzzsprout. So don't want to skip over too much. When did you start to feel like you got traction and you started to see more of a full-time career in cannabis in those late 2010s and into the pandemic era?
I think it was at that initial CannaCon in Seattle where I was on a consumption bus and I said out loud, I'm going to be a cannabis journalist. This is what I was meant to do. And that slowly manifested into being. And I realized that it was so much bigger than me and just my love for weed. I mean, because I always loved getting high, there's no doubt about that. But then I started meeting people who were patients, people who had their lives changed for the better because of this plant, people whose children were given life expectancies of like a year and the kids were still alive because they were being treated with CBD.
Yeah.
And I realized these are the stories I was meant to tell. And I've talked about it a lot, but my father, he had epilepsy really severely when I was a kid and didn't respond to medication. My parents were divorced. We'd go to see him on the weekends, and I can remember him having like petit mal, like these small seizures. He'd kind of zone out for a little bit. And even as a little girl, I was like, it was scary, right? And I saw him have some big ones too. And he couldn't have a driver's license. And it was really impacting his life. And when I was about 9 years old. Actually, I think the anniversary is coming up. I found some paperwork recently. I want to say it was either January 10th or January 16th, 1996.
Okay.
He went in for a surgery at the Mayo Clinic that would effectively, if successful, would remove the part of his brain that was epileptic and cure it. But he ended up having a massive stroke right after the surgery, and it left him paralyzed on one half of his body. He was severely brain damaged. He spent most of my childhood and actually the rest of his life really in skilled nursing facilities, group homes, and it was just devastating. And I started meeting people. I met a guy in Colorado who had been seizure free for 10 years. And I remember talking to my dad about it, like, wow, and he was like, I wonder if it could have worked for me, and could his life have been different? Like, if we had known what we know now about cannabis, specifically CBD and epilepsy, could he have at least tried it?
Yeah.
And would he still be here today? He passed away in 2020 from long-term complication from his stroke. And I can't help but wonder, right? Like, if cannabis could have saved his life. And so those early days when I started meeting patients, I was like, wow, I need to get this information out there so people understand that they potentially have an option. And maybe it could change their lives or their families' lives. And so another family doesn't go through what we went through. And there's no guarantee that like the cannabis would have worked for him, but it would have been nice to know.
Yeah.
Right. Especially knowing that the only FDA approved medication involving cannabis is for epilepsy.
Straight up CBD isolate.
Yeah. It's like, this is like Epidiolex is helping a lot of kids who have severe epilepsy, the Dravet syndrome. And so we'll never know.
Yeah.
But that's really when I knew that this was like fate for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think about how more access has been coming really since 96 or 97, every 10 years, like as a check-in, because I'm a 2007 high school graduate, and I know the California Compassionate Care Act was like a 1997 measure. So I think about 97, and then I think about 2007, and then I think about 2017, and now we're closer to 2027. It's like, Schedule 3 could be on the board by then, and just the access to education. Like I heard, or research. I heard Matt Robidoux. I called him recently, and he's like, "Well, now it's clear that there's a path for me to get my PhD in cannabis through Schedule 3, and the residuals that can come to the patients as more research is done on our soil, not necessarily Canada or Israel, and." Being able to allow that to empower Americans to consider CBD as an option. And, the executive order from 2025 where, the carve out for potentially, $500 of your medical bills for CBD. And just like, we know that like you have to chip away at stigmatization. You have to chip away to allow for people to finally say yes to a sip.
Yeah.
Or a drop or even a lotion. And so like it does take grassroots efforts, and it does take folks saying, I'm going all in. I'm going to commit myself to cannabis. And I remember saying that to Zach Robbins, May of 2020, to say, yes, CBD shops have been deemed non-essential by Governor Walz. Yes, events have slowed down, and there's not really a clear path for when things are going to reopen, but there's something inside of me that says I'm going to go all in on hemp, and that's how I've been operating for 5+ years. And sure, at times I've had to take other jobs or take part-time jobs here and there, but it's always been centered around local agriculture, local farms, local food, and that's where kind of our paths crossed. Was I was working at Nashville Coop after they had a successful run, hell of a run, legendary run of summer 2020 when they were feeding the streets, and we were popping up red truck, white truck, St. Paul, red truck, Minneapolis, going out. And through the work that the Mohammed brothers and the Mohammed family did, that allowed them to open a brick and mortar in St. Paul off Snelling. And, I'd been following you. Zach Robbins probably knew you before I knew you, but because I had taken over the Canna.mn Instagram account, I was then following you when I was logged in. And so I knew of you. I knew of your face from the profile picture, and so that's where our paths crossed. And you can probably tell the story better than I, but like that's when I was like, oh, that's Rachelle Gordon. Like I'm working a part-time job at a fast food restaurant. I need to say hello. I need to shoot my shot.
And we were saying before in the green room, like I respected how bold you were in that moment because I'm standing there in line. We're socially distanced. I've got the mask on. I'm there with my buddy, and I remember so vividly. You stopped what you were doing behind the counter and you looked up and you saw me and you stopped what you were doing and you came out and you introduced yourself. And I was like, first of all, the fact that you were so bold to just come up and say hello to a stranger, and the fact that I had a mask on and you still recognized me, and like it could have maybe not been me, it could have been somebody else, and you still did it. And I was like, wow, like that was really neat. And then I think we maybe exchanged some DMs, and then we got to hang out and got to know each other better. And I really liked your vibe and your energy and your passion for the plant and the community, and there was so much synergy between us. And look at us now, and I'm so glad. And shout out Nashville Coop. I mean, and that chicken was fire because I followed that food truck and I was so excited when they opened the brick and mortar. I was like, this is going to be amazing, but who knew it would put us on this path, right? The chicken.
Yeah, because I mean, we were just like serving the people. I credit Nashville Coop and the move to quit my day job, knowing that it wasn't going anywhere, knowing that it wasn't set up to work from home. The company wasn't set up to work from home.
Yeah.
And that summer, June of 2020, to say, hey, I'm gonna take a non-traditional job. It's not gonna pay as well, but I'll pay my rent at the beach club and I'll stay connected to people. And ultimately, maybe I didn't know that that's what it was going to do, but that's what it did. And it allowed me to stay connected to people because so many people were just shacked up. Restaurants were closed. The fact that we were out serving people, that's what led to the half hour, 45-minute wait times, because the food truck was like a viable option. We could go to them. And so that perspective allowed me to, as soon as it made sense to start hosting events in person, and primarily young people. And we took some precautions, but not as much as others may have taken. And 2021 we were back online doing events. So yeah, 2020 was slow. The website basically fell apart because the plugins got dusty. And so then
that'll happen.
So I mean, eventually we moved on from the Canna MN brand, but at that time, that's what I was putting my time into when I wasn't at Nashville Coop. And then I was also doing the hemp clothing, kind of resale, wholesale thing, which I still rep a lot of hemp clothing, but it is not a full-time job.
Yes, I remember having a little fashion show with your hemp textiles. Like I still have the hoodie.
Good, yeah.
It is so comfortable, and the t-shirts, and yeah.
Eventually the Packer hats.
Yes, that's right. Yes, right. I think we actually wore one. Kurt wore one to the Packers-Vikings game last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It was awesome.
So I mean, that's a little bit about how we got connected, and I'll never forget those hangs where we were just kind of two friends smoking joints, and you'd be going to big shows and you'd come back and you'd have like cool stuff to share and like kind of help me get a glimpse into what the national cannabis market is and event wise. And so 2022, still kind of tail end of the pandemic, but by 2023 I'm like moving past Canna MN and starting Canna Connect. And you've helped me in many ways by being a panelist, being a host, helping promote it, and also like I think about the AI Grow era and how impactful that event was for the team at the time, and it's just been really nice to have your support. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, likewise. You're a connector, and I see your passion for the community, and I'm always about amplifying and helping people who have that like pure heart, and that's you to a T, right? And you're the homie, right? Like, of course I'm going to support my friends. I'm always rooting for the home team. Right. But likewise, like you've always put me on, right? You've always reached out. You've always been a champion of me You've always platformed me, and you do that with a lot of folks too. Like you use your platform for good,
Yes.
and I appreciate that because I strive to do the same thing. So I feel like we're very much aligned in our values.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What is it like be the operator, or I'll use the proper terminology, the editor
Mm.
of a large media company? Because I know, speaking for Natalie and I, like we have a hard time staying on top of all the channels and the platforms, making sure that our social media strategy is running, not just a talking about it, but actually making it happen. Like, what? Talk about your like current job. Like, what all do you do?
So, as the editor of Green State, greenstate.com, make sure to check out greenstate.com, please.
Subscribe.
Yeah, like, subscribe, smash that button. It's a lot, right? Because I'm basically a one woman team.
Okay.
And so I'm finding stories, I'm researching, I'm interviewing people. I'm building a content calendar. I'm building a marketing strategy. I'm writing stories. I'm editing freelance and guest posts, looking at op-eds and guest posts from potential thought leaders in the space, going to events, seeing what's trending, speaking on podcasts, going and speaking on panels. It's a lot. No 2 days are exactly alike. Usually, I start off the day. I usually put up a story right away in the morning, either one that we had written previously, or maybe there's a big news of the day. So yesterday, for example, this will come out in February, but as we're recording this, yesterday there was a bill introduced in Congress to potentially delay this looming ban that's coming for hemp products. So that was breaking news. Obviously, we had to be on that super quick. We also have a newsletter, the Field Guide. Sign up for the newsletter. And yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. And fortunately, I do have the backing of like our parent company, and we have some resources we can tap into in terms of technology.
Okay.
But other than that, it's basically just me out here doing this,
Wow.
and it's a lot, but it's a blessing too, because it's, I think, extremely rare to be on staff, on salary at a major media company writing about cannabis. I don't think there are that many people who can say that, and it's incredibly amazing and fortunate, and I'm humbled every day and see myself as a true steward of the plant and the community in every sense of the word.
Yeah. I mean, it is more than just journalism. It's a lot of marketing. It's a lot of digital. And I mean, it's 2026. Like, of course, the media is going to be digital primarily, but I don't think the marketing should be undershadowed, because like marketing is a ton of work.
Yeah, it's its own thing. And so having to do all of it is a lot. I'll admit, like, our social media game could be stronger.
Sure.
But we're really deep on like Reddit. We're doing more on Reddit. We have Flipboard. We're doing a lot for Google. We're doing a lot for the generative optimization now, since more people are searching on their GPT versus Google.
Yeah.
I'm also featured on another podcast called Puff Puff Press,
Sure.
with some other amazing cannabis journalists. So we're talking about the stories that we're working on, things that we're seeing trending, or just, stuff about working in weed and writing about weed that's nuanced. So like last night, for example, I was talking about all the dry herb vapes that come across my desk, and where are we at with the dry herb vape technology?
DHVs.
Yeah, like, great product, but it seems like there's been some stagnation in the innovation. So like, what is it going to take to move that across the goal line?
Right. I mean, because like I won't put a label on you, but as someone who has used Puffco's products at least once, there is some healthy competition there, because the extract is such a high, But with that being said, I do think there's room for us to collaborate, as both of us are underutilizing social, and we have in the past shared news articles more on the local side. But I think that's something that you and I should circle back around, is how can Canna Connect and Green State better support each other on the social side, which is often like kind of you do all the work and then you have to share it out. It's kind of like the thing that gets cutting room floored in some ways. But we can't wrap up today without talking and giving you some flowers for the win that you had at MJ Biz this year. You've been attending the MJs and you've been nominated in the past, but what do you think was the biggest thing that allowed you to go from a nominee to an award winner?
I think it's just the support of the community, really. This last decade, traveling across the country and meeting so many people and telling people's stories, I think that people wanted to return the favor maybe a little bit. It was really meaningful. All of the nominees for Cannabis Journalist of the Year were incredible at what they do, and they are incredible at what they do, and they work so hard. But we're all friends. Like, yes, we might be competitors in a way, but we're all on the same team.
Sure.
And I know some of the other nominees, like Javier, who's the editor in chief of High Times, he was shouting me out, vote for Rachelle. And, Jimmy Young, he was saying vote for Rachelle. And obviously I was like, vote for them. Like, let's all vote for each other if we can.
Yeah.
Because it was one vote per day, right?
Right,
and so
right.
I think that it was just the community really coming together, and it really meant a lot. And I know it sounds corny, but I really felt seen. And as someone who, as a child, like so desperately wanted to be seen, I was like very touched that people recognized that I'm busting my ass and I'm doing so much to try to amplify the community. And so to be recognized for that, it honestly really meant a lot to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I mean, part of it, as you're saying that, I mean, you did a ton of work with the Green State Awards in 2025, and I have to mention that as like you basically brought that platform to life, which allowed for so many others, Canna Connect included, to feel seen, and to think about all the awards or all the categories, and then subsequently the awards. So there's dozens of folks that appreciate, like not just dozens, but like dozens of winners that appreciate what you were able to put together with Green State and Hearst, because that was the first year that's happened. Is that right?
Yes, that was year one for the Green State Consumers' Choice Awards. Other properties at HNP will do things like that, and I think they had done it maybe before, like in a different way, like there was a different version of it. But this was the first time there was like a national competition. And so seeing so many people from Minnesota, including yourself, being recognized, it was so awesome. And the community really showed out. And I'm always trying to amplify folks who really deserve it, and not just folks who, have big splashy marketing budgets and PR budgets. And so it was a labor of love. We learned a lot.
I bet.
Like there were some pain points, right, with the tech and everything like that, but we learned a lot. And I think this year for 2026, it's going to be even bigger, even stronger, hopefully a little more user-friendly.
Sure.
And hopefully we see folks like yourself and others in Minnesota and our community get recognized again, because to see people like, go up against these huge MSOs and beat them, like that was pretty sick.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to, mobilizing your following and your network to encourage, and I definitely think this year will be even better than last year. And like some folks and yes, they're single operators and they're just like worried about packing gummies and selling gummies, but like hopefully this conversation and the promotion that'll go into year two will really allow people or provide the realization that people should take this award seriously, that it shouldn't just be like, oh, it's the last day to vote for the Green State Consumers' Choice Awards, like make sure to vote for me, because I did see some of that, but like also I know that there were lots of votes, so it wasn't just the last minute stuff. And I have to say, like, we were touched to see the Cannaverse nominated, because it was very early for the Cannaverse at the time, but now that's much more part of our platform, and we hope to continue to grow it. So.
And I know that you will. And this is just a small way to do that. So excited for what's coming in 2026 for both of our platforms, honestly.
Yeah, amazing. I'm glad we could kick off the new year with a good sit down and keep in touch more this year and on a monthly basis versus 2025 got a little bit away from me, and I look forward to continuing to build with you in 2026 and beyond.
Always.
Awesome. Rachelle Gordon, Green State. If folks want to get in touch with you, where's the best place to reach out?
You can follow me on Instagram at Rachelle. It's Rachelle, not Rachel. It's RACHELLE, the writer. Also LinkedIn. Obviously, LinkedIn's popping off for cannabis. So feel free. My DMs are open. If you have a story that you want to share, or a product that you want to be reviewed, anything like that, feel free to hit me up, and we'll see what we can do.
Amazing.
And go to greenstate.com.
Yes. Make sure to subscribe to her newsletter, as well as check out the platform and vote for the Consumer Choice Awards in 2026.
Yes.